Welcome to the Code with Jason meetup. We're going to be working on SaturnCI once again today. Um, the issue we've been having lately, so I've been working on log streaming, real-time log streaming. And you've been with me, of course, Sanjeet, for a few of these. Um, but the latest problem is that it puts the logs kind of in the wrong place. Um, As the logs are streaming, it gets streamed not just to system logs, but also to all these other tabs. Let me see if I can kick off a new build and we can see that happening. I'm going to set my phone timer for like 1 minute so we can check back in. Bear with me a second here. Yeah. So this will take a minute to start streaming logs, but when it does, we can see this bug. And my first question to myself is, how do we write a test that will reproduce the buggy behavior? So let's start by going to the test that I have right now for log streaming. I'll have to remind myself where it is. Okay, maybe I can look at this commit to see where I put the test. Okay, here's a test. System streaming spec. Okay. Okay. So here's my test. And we expect that before the log update occurs, it shows the original content, and after the log update occurs, it shows the new content. Now, before we start messing with this test is kind of noisy. I'm hesitant to add more to this test when it's as noisy as it is. Let's take a look at this code and just understand what it's doing real quick. And I think this was all written by ChatGPT, this whole chunk here. This. I see we're assigning this temp variable called server URL, but I don't think that's doing a whole lot of good. I think we can just say capybara.currentsession.server URL right there. Okay. We're visiting this URI. Okay. And we're sending a request with a body of new log content to, okay, so I think we can create a method that abstracts what's happening here. Because, dear viewer, if you don't understand this code here, that's very understandable because it's not very easy to understand code. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a method. I don't know what it's going to be called, so I'm just going to call it foo for the moment. And I'm going to do this. I'll just call it HTTP request. It's a slightly better name than foo. Okay. And I think we want to pass it the path. Okay. So I'm going to do this HTTP request path. Okay. We can replace this with path. Okay. And then we want body also. Okay. Before I do anything, I'm just going to run this and see if it even works. Okay, looks like it does work. Um, so what I just did there was I like abstracted away the incidental details and tried to leave behind the essential meaning. So we're sending a request to this path with this body, and all this other stuff is just kind of noise. We don't care about that stuff. All we care about is this. Okay, so maybe we can move this into a helper. Hmm. What do we call the helper? I'm not sure, but this is an improvement. Let's just like commit this at least. Um, abstract away HTTP request details. Oh, and by the way, let's check on this. Okay, it seems to not be sending logs yet. Okay. Okay, maybe we can call it Saturn API helper. I don't know if that's a great name, but we'll start with that. Okay, spec support. Spec support Saturn API helper. Okay. And I guess if I run this now, it will not work because I'm not including the Saturn API helper. Correct. So here, can I do Saturn API helper dot? I don't know if it works like that or not. Yeah, I don't think so. All right, I'm going to do this. Okay. There's a slight problem. Um, here, I'm referring to API authorization headers, and it's like that's kind of a mystery. Where does that come from? It happens to come from API authentication helper, but we can't know that from looking at this. So this creates a mysterious tight coupling between Saturn API helper and API authentication helper. So instead of having it work that way, let's see, what is it called? API authorization headers. Okay, so now instead we have API authorization headers. We pass it in, and that turns it from a mystery into where does this come from? Oh, okay, it comes from here. And then in the test, we're passing it in, and it's not too hard to tell that that comes from here. Let me run that and see if it works. Okay. Let's check on the tests again. Still no logs coming through. I'm trying to check my phone, but my phone is dead. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to plug in my phone. I have a number of skills. Keeping my phone charged is not one of them. So, okay. Whoops. That's not what I meant to do. No, 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 no. Sorry, bear with me a second here. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, so I added Saturn API helper. Okay, now I feel a little bit better about modifying this test. So again, the buggy behavior is that the log, the system log shows up here, but then it also shows up on other tabs. Um,
Oh,
so
okay. We have no output yet, so we cannot know, yeah, whether it is.
yeah, I'm gonna do this. I'm going to run this test with the browser showing so we can see what happens. Okay, so here's the content we see before the logs get updated. So we just see original system log content here. Now I'm going to let the test continue. Oh, hmm. I don't even know why it's stopped where it stopped. I'm actually quite confused. I ran more tests than I meant to run. Okay, we want to run just line 40. My phone timer's going off. Okay, I guess if my timer's going off, I should check this. Okay, still nothing. Okay, so I'm running just this test. It pauses here. This is the original content that's in the database. Now I'm going to let the test continue, and it'll hit the API with new log content, and we should see that new log content show up without refreshing the page. And indeed we do. We see new log content here. Okay, and then if we go to a different tab, okay, if we go to a different tab, content looks right. So let's try something. So just now, I did not successfully reproduce the bug. So I'm going to try a different way. I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go to the test output tab, and then I'm going to let the API request run. Yeah, see? Okay. So now the test output tab is showing the system log content. So do you see what the bug is there, Sanjit?
I don't think I'm quite getting it, Jason.
Okay. I'll um I'll go through it again and try to do a better job of explaining it. So here's the test that's already finished. The system logs is just like the raw output of
Yeah.
the system logs.
Hmm.
Then we have events, test report, which shows how long each test took and stuff like that. And the test output, which is like the detailed RSpec output. Okay, so the thing I want to focus on right now is the fact that this is the system logs and this is the test output, totally different stuff.
Mm.
But if we run this test and I leave the system logs tab and go to the test output tab, there's nothing here yet. This is all fine. And then the SaturnCI API gets hit with this with this HTTP request. And that's the same API endpoint that gets hit when the system logs, specifically the system logs, get updated. So it's the system logs, not the test output, that's getting updated. So I'll allow that to occur. But even though we're on the test output tab, it doesn't show the test output. It's showing the system logs.
Is it getting overwritten?
Um, well, I have my suspicions regarding what's happening, but first let's focus on what the bug is. Did I explain it more successfully that time? Like, do you see what the issue is?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I want to do before I even attempt to diagnose the root cause is I want to write a test that captures this buggy behavior. Because when I do apply the fix for this bug, I want to be sure that the bug fix worked. Okay. So I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to say context staying on system log tab. I'm going to add another context for visiting a different tab. Okay. Then I'm going to keep this after log update occurs context. Say it does not show the system log content. Okay, and before we do this HTTP request, I want to visit the test output tab. Okay, now if I wrote this test correctly, it will fail because the bug is present because we haven't fixed it yet. Okay, yep, we see the system log content here. So I expect the test to fail. Indeed, it does. Okay, and I'm going to actually change this from new log content to new system log content to make it clear that it is system log content. Okay, and that passed once I did that, so I must have made a mistake somewhere. So let me undo what I just did. And let me run this again. Let's see if that test fails again. Okay, it does. New log content. I'm going to do this new system log content. Okay, that still fails. New system log content. Okay. I don't know what error I might have made with my search replace, but doesn't matter because I fixed the issue now. Okay. Now, Sanjit, that we have a test that fails when this bug is present, now we can diagnose it and attempt to fix it. So here's what I think, Sanjit. I think that when the turbo stream updates, it indiscriminately updates this element, this job one element, no matter which tab we're on.
Okay,
So,
so it is not specific enough, you think?
yeah, exactly. So, let me go to where that stuff happens. See, this will be an API controller system. No. Well, let me look at my test to remind myself. Oh, that's not. Okay, it's this one. Job system log. Okay, API v1 jobs controller. I don't think that's it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we're doing this turbo stream broadcast to job blah 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 system logs, and the target is build detail content. Sorry, build details content. And I think that is the part that's not specific enough. Every tab has a build details content. So let's go to where that is. Okay, here is this. Yeah, so I think we want to name this turbo frame in a way that matches the current tab name.
Yeah, so each one have a specific to each of those tabs. Is that what you mean? Or
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, yeah, okay, okay.
Yeah, so I'll just try that. Um, oh, system logs. And that's an inelegant name there because it's a mix of hyphens and underscores, but I don't want to worry about that right now. I just want to do a cheap test here. All right. So, well, I don't want to do this manually because I don't know how to reproduce it manually. I want to run the test. Okay. Well, that made the test pass. Now let's make this a little bit more elegant. Instead of system underscore logs, we want system hyphen logs. In Rails, how do I convert a string from underscores to hyphens? Or another option, and this might actually be a better way to go, is just name it like this. I think I'll actually do that. Let's see if the test still passes. Okay. It does still pass. So let's push this. Fix log streaming bug. Okay, and there appears to be some issue here because this test never got going. So I'm going to check out DigitalOcean real quick and see if I can see anything that's going on. Okay. So these jobs have been running for 23 minutes, but we don't see anything happening. Oh, I know. It's because I don't have ngrok running. Okay, so I will kill this. And kill this. Okay. And then I'm just going to delete this job. Yeah. Okay. Now, next time we push, maybe it'll work. Okay. Um, Well, that bug is apparently fixed. I can't be 100% certain yet. There's something that's been bugging me for a bit that I want to address. This path is really like convoluted. Job detail content project build job path. Like, what does that mean? You know? What that is it's these tabs. You give it a job and you give it which tab you want. And I just want to, I would prefer something like this. I would prefer something like visit job path, job system logs, something like that. Because we can infer the build and the project from the job. Feels dumb to have to pass all this stuff. Um, so let's ask ChatGPT about this. I have a path that looks like this. Hey, Sahil.
Hello.
Okay, and then we're going to go to routes. I'll just paste in my whole route file because it's not that big. Um, I have a path that looks like this. I would prefer it if I could use my path like this instead. That would be much easier on the eyes, and we can infer the build and the project from the job anyway. How can I create this custom path? Let's see, right now it's job detail content. Yeah, that's this. Job partial path. Okay. I'm not sure if ChatGPT understood it. I want to say this. It's this path, it's this route specifically that I want to rename. No, I want to add a convenient alias for. Okay, and what did it tell me? This, oh, as job partial. Well, okay. Jobs ID partial. Okay. Regenerate. So, Sahil, I'm not sure exactly when you joined or if you caught it, but I have this big nasty route here that
hmm
I use a lot in the app, and I'm just going to be using it more and more. And I
hmm
I don't want to use this. I want to use something nicer like this, but I don't know how. So
So
that's what I'm
what
figuring out.
this is ideally that you have. um, Okay, I was trying to read the test, or
Oh
basically
yeah.
I was trying to understand the parameters here. So
Hmm.
what you did is in 13 number line is you just logged in, which is I think standard device login or some helper that you have written, which just logs in the user
Hmm.
and sets up the headers. I would assume cookies, let's say.
Hmm.
Yeah. And job detail content project build job path,
Hmm.
and that would be project build job system logs.
Yeah, it's really hard to understand. So that takes us to job detail content. Job detail content. Yeah, detail content, project build, job path. It's just terrible. Um, so it looks like what ChatGPT is telling us is we can do this. And let's just try that. But I don't want it to be. Sorry, I'm trying to move this Zoom
Can I
window.
suggest something
Yeah.
other than this, which we read like it's a personal thing that we, or not a personal thing, it's like something we did in our project, which really helped us a lot, that we don't ever use member collection functions. We always go with creating, because when you say this job ID because you want to make the partial also as a, how do I say, um,
Yeah, the partial needs to be a parameter in the route.
can we do it then job slash ID slash partials slash slash partial type, because then it's virtually same, and then you can have a partials controller
Well,
and a
let me
show
share the
action
context a
there.
little bit. So here, let's look at the URL. It's a big
Yeah.
long one, but we have projects slash a project ID slash build slash a build ID slash
Mm-hmm.
job slash a job ID slash system logs. Now
Mm-hmm.
watch that very end part that currently says system logs. When I navigate among the tabs, that part changes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the format of that URL, just in case that info helps at all.
Right. Okay. Much. But then you can have, for example, if you go back
Mm-hmm.
to the basically the end thing that you have here, system logs.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can have jobs, which is resources, and that has system logs, which is also resources as index, because then you can have like different controller. I'm not sure because what is in the show action of the jobs right now,
Mm-hmm.
because from there you are probably doing a lot of if else based on the partial. But if
Well, I'll
you
show you that
can
real
have,
quick.
yeah,
Oops. So this is what that looks like.
so you have job has build, project is build list is params branch name. Okay, that's fine. And current tab name is partial, which is partial. Okay. And how does the data come into the views then? Because this is just setting up the tab name, right? You need different data for different tabs.
Well, the main thing we need to send is the job. So this is the view for jobs show.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this jobs show partial. And this is where this is kind of the meat of that view.
Right. And so you have server frame tag, which is okay. That advanced will currently do. Mm-hmm. And turbo frame tag then lazily loads the data that is required inside the data. Okay, so I get this, but now what do we want to test in the tests, that instead of writing this big part, you want to write a smaller part.
Exactly. Yeah, and so my question right now is, does this do it? Did ChatGPT give us a good suggestion? So I'm gonna go to the top of this route output. Okay, so we have our devise stuff. Okay, I'm
Can
gonna
use
do this
that now.
differently. Rails,
Yeah.
routes, pipe, FZF.
Oh, that. I also love this FCF.
Um, okay. Oh, can we search partial?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it does have this jobs ID partial. So can we give it just, okay, so hang on a second. What did ChatGPT say? Job system logs. Okay. Yeah, let's try that. Does this now work? I'll be kind of surprised if it does. Okay. Yeah, it definitely doesn't.
Because it says action controller I.
Yeah, it says it's missing the project ID. Um, oh, and it says job show HTML line 14. Let's take a look. Interesting. Hmm. Yeah, that is interesting because it's true. This project build path doesn't have the project ID.
I would do project underscore ID. I mean,
Oh, just because that'll be a little
it
faster.
could be loaded. It could not be loaded in the memory, but it doesn't hurt to save one query.
Okay, that at least fixed that test. Okay. Okay, apparently we're in business. So I now want to take every instance of this big nasty path and replace it with that nicer path. Okay, so actually I'm going to do it like this. For any Vim users out there, you can do a nice trick. All right, so I'm going to do grep for this, but instead of, I'm gonna add the L flag, which will just give me the file names.
Hmm.
And then I'll do in Vim and I'll do this $ thing, and that'll just open all the files that contain that path.
I think this should work with code as well, VS Code.
Yeah, actually, any editor that can open files from the command line. Okay, job
Because
path.
I think ideally it's just giving it the parameters which files to open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
Okay, so here's this one, job path. Okay, job path. So much nicer. Whoops. Job path. Okay. Now I'm just going to run all the tests locally and see if they still pass. Should take about 30 seconds. Okay. Oh, 16 seconds. All right. And now I'm gonna, well, first I'll commit that. Okay. And then I'll do a similar thing, but for the spec folder. Okay, now I'll run all the tests again. Okay. Fix more instances of path. Okay, and I pushed that. And since now I remembered to have ngrok running, we might actually see the build start running. Yep. Okay. So in a minute, we should be able to see our system logs start streaming. Okay, so right now, our system logs stream, but nothing else streams. The next one I'm interested in is having the test output stream. So let's get that going. So first, let me remind myself how the job streaming works. System log controller. Okay. So we're going to want to have something similar. So here is the test for system log streaming. Right now, the way I have this organized is spec system log system streaming spec. But I wonder if I want to organize it differently. Maybe I want to have it like spec streaming system logs. So that I can have all the streaming tests together. I think that is in fact what I want. So I'm going to do this. First, I'm going to have to do this. Spec streaming system. Yes. Okay, so I can call it spec streaming system logs spec.rb. And I'm just gonna make sure I didn't mess that up somehow. And I'm gonna change this system log streaming. Okay. So I'll commit that. By the way, I'm gonna check on this. Okay, I think the logs are streaming. Let's see, if I just sit here and wait, do we get more logs? It looks like the answer is no. Okay, so the latest one is 4913. If I refresh, we get 4924. Yeah, the tests are passing, but it looks like the system logs are not in fact working. Let's look at the Rails logs. So I see stuff coming through here. So we're receiving log output, but it's not showing up in the turbo stream. And now the test is finished. Okay. Well, let's abandon what we're about to do and address this bug. And I'm going to get this running again, just so we have another instance to look at. All right, so I'm going to go to this test that is supposed to be demonstrating that this works. And I'm going to put a binding.pry here and here. So when I run this test, Here's the original system log content. If I let it continue, it'll hit the API the way it does in production. Okay, and I do see the new log content show up. So maybe it's the case that it's working in the test environment, but not the development environment for some reason. Let me see. Okay, so I'm going to go to this HTTP request helper thing. Okay, Saturn API helper. Maybe I can manually kick off a request and see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to do this, I think. Let's make this easier. Let's replace all this content with something smaller. So I'm going to grab this job. Oh, it changed the path. That's not what I was shooting for, but maybe I'll not worry about that right now. Okay. So we'll open up a Rails console.
Maybe it's worth to check the web sockets in the network and see if we are really getting on the front end side or not.
Okay. Maybe that's a good suggestion. I'll do that, but first I'm gonna perform this certain other test. So j.system logs. Okay, I'm gonna say j.system logs equals original log content. Welcome, Puneeth.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay. It's a very Indian code with Jason session today.
It is.
Okay, so I just changed that system log content, but nothing changed here. Oh, whoops, I should be here. Yeah, okay. Okay, I was just in the wrong place. Okay, so now let me send an HTTP request and see if this updates. So I'm going to say URI equals localhost 3000. Excuse me. And the path is going to be this. Okay, I made a mistake somewhere. Oh, we don't have access to this. Let me just hard code that actually. System logs path. Okay, API v1 system logs. Okay. And then I can copy most of this stuff. Okay, I'll copy, or at least these two lines. Oh boy. Oh, okay, I didn't do that right. Okay, now let's try those again. Oh, it says use HTTPS, but we're using HTTP. There, okay. Okay, now for this request, Whoops, I messed up again. For this request, I think I messed up yet again. No, what's okay. Right. API authorization headers does not exist. So I need to put in those headers somehow. How do I replace API authorization headers with a hard-coded username and password? Okay, that's kind of a lot, but that's okay. I got to remind myself what my username and password are. Okay. This is not very sensitive. Replace those values with these. Okay. And while I'm at it, I might as well say replace the URL with this. Okay. And let's see if that works. Okay. It at least didn't obviously fail. Now we can, request.body equals new content. And then we make the request. Okay. Wrong version number. Oh, SSL error. Probably because we're not using SSL. Okay. Well, this is annoying. I just wanted to do a quick test because my question for myself is, if I just do a request manually in the development environment, does it update the turbo stream? This is already finished. Okay, so maybe let's figure out another way to try to do this test. I'm going to go back to that system logs controller. Okay. And I want to say, I want to perform a manual test in my dev environment that makes my turbo stream update. How can I easily do this? Oh yeah, I could just use curl. Let's see if that works. Oh yeah, I need my job ID. Okay, let's see. Okay, something happened. Okay, this did not update. Sorry?
I think username password, no, because it was this my username and password. Would that be accepted? Like after minus u.
That is actually what the username and password are.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, because it's just my local development environment.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know if what got returned is an error or not an error. I'm going to do this. Oh, actually, let's look at the Rails log. Okay, we did get an error. It says no route matches post API v1 system logs. Okay.
I think the reason might be that it was jobs/job ID/system logs, because that's the partial, if I'm not wrong.
Um, that was correct in the UI, but in the API it's different. So, oh, no, you're right. Okay, jobs/job
Because if
ID
you go
slash system.
back to your routes file, I think
Yeah,
the
you're right.
the first
Okay. You know my API better than I do.
actually I didn't knew this one. I was going for the new routes that we just added, and
Oh,
I thought
interesting.
I was going for that one. But sure, I think we can still go with the.
Okay, so I'm going to take this job ID, and then I don't need this.
Yeah, I think we don't even need this data URL code since there is no data.
Okay, no output.
But it's
Okay.
streaming.
Ah, so that
And now you
worked.
can, maybe you should try some other content as well.
Sure. Interesting. That is not working.
Uh, let's look at the logs, maybe.
All right. So let's okay, let me do one more to see what happens. I would expect that it doesn't work. Okay. So let's refresh it again and see if it works the first time but not the second time. Okay, so I see more, more, more. I'm going to add more content. Oh, that apparently. Okay, there. Okay, so it didn't work. And I'm going to do this yet again. One, two, three. I expect that to show up. Uh-huh. 4, 5, 6. I expect that not to show up, and it does not. Okay.
So
So,
after the page reload, the first time it loads, the second time it does not.
sorry, say it again.
So when we reload the page and then do the first trigger, then the content comes through TurboStream, but the second time it's not coming.
Exactly. So let's adjust our test to capture this failure case. Okay. Let's see. I'll change this to say after the first log update occurs, after a second log update occurs. Second system log update. Okay. I'm going to say that we expect the page to have content, second system, whoops, log update. And I would expect this test to fail. Uh-huh. Okay. So this is interesting. I'm going to show this to ChatGPT. Show it the test. Show it the failure. Show it my controller. Show it my template. Whoops. And see if it comes up with anything useful. I know we're over time. I'm just going to keep going a little bit. If anybody needs to drop off, no problem. Okay. What's it saying? To resolve the issue where the second log update does not show up in your system test, we need to ensure the TurboStream correctly updates the content. Let's go through the steps to troubleshoot and verify the implementation. Okay, so it seems like it doesn't know what's wrong if it's talking about troubleshooting. Okay, yeah, it's just guessing. All right, so I'm not interested in just taking wild guesses. I want to gain a little better of an understanding first. All right.
Can you show once again the controller and the view? Probably I maybe suggest something.
Yeah, I'll bring that back
So,
up. First, this is like distracting me. I'm gonna change this back to what it was. Oh, whoops. Grab this job ID. I forget what the column was called. Apparently it's called that. Okay. Okay. So yeah, you wanted to see the template and the controller.
yes.
So here's the controller.
Right. So what we're doing is we are ideally doing job ID system logs and we are replacing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now if we go back to our view,
Mm-hmm. In the browser or in the code?
no, in the code. So where is our job ID system logs, which is this one, right? The 48 number line.
Oh, interesting.
So what you are basically doing is that you are saying that this is my class component, whatever, and replace it with that. And that's why when you do it first time, it is able to find it and replaces it. I mean, I'm also just troubleshooting. I have not really worked extensively with turbo streams. But since it's replaced, the next time you send the same instructions, it is not able to find that module component, whatever, and that's why it's not able to do it.
Hmm.
So what you can try to do is, you can say, you can duplicate the line number 48, and I don't know, maybe call it a div, which is job ID system logs, and say turbo stream from job ID system logs stream, and then stream to the stream and say replace the job ID system logs.
Okay. I didn't follow all that. And also there's something else I'm confused about. So in the controller, I don't know exactly what this, I don't know what this argument is called, but I can see, of course, that it corresponds to this. So I guess that's
Yes,
just
it's
like the ID of
the
the turbo stream.
yes, it's the ID of the channel, let's say, if you want to say.
And then this is build details, content system logs. That corresponds to the turbo frame tag. The partial that we're using is system logs HTML. That makes sense to me. And then these are the locals we're sending to the partial. All right, so these two lines, absolutely no mystery there. Completely understand that. But here, I don't understand why we need both a turbo frame tag and a turbo stream. We need a turbo stream and a turbo frame. Why both? So unless one of you guys knows the answer, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. When streaming, why do I need both a turbo stream and a turbo frame? Why not just one or the other? The other thing I don't understand is this. So I understand the placement of the turbo frame tag. I don't understand the placement of the turbo stream. I'm going to just say that. I understand the placement of the turbo frame tag. I don't understand the placement of the turbo stream tag. Okay. Now I'm gonna look at something here. So let's see. Who was kind of guiding me? Was it you, Sahil?
Yes.
I think what you were saying rings true about like the first time it like replaces the content or something like that. And then the second time, after the first time, it's like gone or disconnected or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm going to do that curl again, and I'm going to play close attention to this turbo frame tag and this turbo cable stream source tag. And let's see if they change.
Yeah.
Okay, so that worked. And I don't know if they changed or not. So here's what I'll do. I will capture this. Yeah. Capture this. And then I'll refresh. And I'll see if they look the same or different. Okay. So This turbo frame looks the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
The
Also, the
turbo
channel
cable
looks
stream source tag looks the exact same, even the ID. Okay. And let me do it once more. Not that I expect anything to happen. Yeah, it doesn't look any different. Okay. Okay. Why might my turbo stream? Oh, sorry, hang on a second. Let me just share an idea. Um, what if the turbo stream is working? It's just that we're sending stale data. There's a way
I
we could test that. All right, I'm gonna see something real quick. Okay. Okay. So I'll do a curl and you know, if the update works, this random number should of course change. Okay, so right now it's 0.42 blah blah blah. Okay, the random number changed. Oh, I didn't pay attention to what the number was.
did not either.
Ha!
It's
Okay.
57, 57. Okay. Oh, now it changed. Never mind.
Oh, yeah. So now it's 0.78 something. Changed to 0.096. Okay, now let's pay close attention. Okay, same thing. So that tells
9698.
us that the turbo stream is in fact not working. That's not surprising. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't laboring under a mistaken assumption.
Do you want to give a try to look at the network stream as well? That if the WebSocket is getting and probably not able to replace,
Say it again?
like have an eye on the network activity. So from the
Oh,
network
okay.
activity, we can see whether the WebSocket connection is able to receive few messages, but probably not able to process them.
Okay. All right, so let me do another curl request. Okay. How do we monitor the activity? Nothing came up here in the log just now.
Sorry, it should show under the WS, which is WebSocket, but it should also show under all.
Yeah, you'd think so,
Yes,
huh?
ideally it's there. Now, maybe let's refresh the page and see. You know, ah, okay.
Yeah, nothing.
Can you refresh the page once again? Because I think I saw that it's trying to make cable connection, which is the WebSocket. Ah, yes, there. And if we see the messages here, there you go. It's pinging. And let's send the curl request now and see if we have some new data here.
Okay.
There you go. So
Oh.
we do have the first request.
Oh, and this, I just didn't know how to scroll up before, but that's from earlier. Okay.
And I think now you can clear this log if you want to.
Okay. Okay. So we do see this other one here.
Does it say 4?
Sorry.
This because you sent like 4, so I would say check the description for this one.
Oh, uh-huh. Okay. 1, 2, 3,
It does
4.
have 4, right?
Okay. And I'm gonna,
One more try with 5.
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm gonna add
Or
something,
maybe add
make it
something
say
else.
something really distinct.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's
the
coming
WebSocket
through.
is working. Now we need to find why it's not able to reference to the right target. I think that's the next debug we need to do.
Let's try this. The question I'm wondering is whether it's making it here.
I think so.
Okay. So yep, it's making it this time. And we see the update. And it's making it this time. And we don't see the update. Okay. So what is different between these two times?
Okay. Again, one shooting arrow in the blind. Maybe try to do first request and try to find build details content system logs with the ID and see if it exists on the page and then retry it.
Okay, sorry, I didn't understand. Can you say it again?
Okay, so what I'm saying is like, let's do the first request and then we say that we try to find this div with the ID, which is build details content system logs in the console, like using jQuery.
Okay. And were you suggesting that we like add a div here?
No,
Or
I'm
were
not
you
saying that.
suggesting, okay,
I'm suggesting that we have this, which is good. So if you go back to the browser and then you go to console, I think.
sorry, were you suggesting that on the console we look for this element?
Not this element, the one which we are replacing.
Okay. Which is,
Because in the controller, you state in the controller which one are you replacing.
yeah, actually, I'm not seeing it. Okay, hang on a second. Let me refresh.
You see, you have with the ID, it doesn't matter if it is turbo frame, you have that with the ID because target is picking up the ID.
Yeah, so this, right? Like,
Hash. Yes. So you have this.
yeah.
Now you do a request.
Mm-hmm.
It does not matter which request you do.
Yeah.
So you see now the 3, and now if you do the same thing again from the console, it's null.
Ah,
Because now if you go back to my original assumption, which was that you are doing a replace to, which is basically replacing this turbo frame as well, which could be a div. We don't need a turbo frame for this. It could be any div. It could be a simple div.
Okay. Sorry, I was distracted and I didn't understand what you just said. So you could replace it with a div. I didn't, sorry, I didn't follow.
No. So, okay, right now it's a turbo frame with the ID build details content system logs.
Uh-huh.
It could be even a div with that ID, and my assumption is it should work.
Mm.
Just a second, somebody is on the gate. I'll be back. You can try.
Okay. So I followed you a little bit more, but not completely. So guide me on what to do here. Or are we making a change here?
Yes, so I'm back. Okay. So right now what you're doing is that you say broadcast replace to this target. So what it does is it takes this target and replaces with the partial, which is jobs system logs.
Uh-huh.
So if you open job system log, right. Okay. So what we need to do now is go back to the controller. I will suggest that instead of broadcast replace to, there should be, for example, HTML2. I don't know,
Okay.
like inner HTML. You can change instead of replacing the whole module.
I see. Okay, well let's ask ChatGPT here.
Yes.
Instead of replacing the turbo frame, can we update a div instead? Is that basically the idea?
Can we update the inner HTML actually? Oh no,
Mhm. How inconvenient.
ChatGPT is broken. There you go. Broadcast update to.
Broadcast update to, okay. Target div inside the turbo frame. Okay. Okay. Target system logs content. Okay. Now I don't know if this turbo frame tag even is necessary.
Required. It's not. I think you can put any div here.
Yeah.
You can just say div ID. That would do. But that should do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to change in the controller. Instead of replace to update, I think it was. You can see what ChatGPT suggested. Update to,
Broadcast
yes.
update to, okay. Okay.
Now we
Now
do fine.
let's do the curl again. Okay.
3 and 3
I'm
and
gonna do
3.
another
There you
number just so it's easier.
go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Thanks for helping me with that. That's great. Okay, so now I'm gonna open my test again. We'll see if all the tests pass now. Okay. They do. Fix log streaming bug. All right, I'm gonna have us wrap up soon, but first I just want to see this log streaming actually working because it would feel nice to see the payoff of all of our hard work.
By the way, I'm no pro in this. It was just hit and trial for me also. It was just, I was thinking that this could be the possibility and this could be the possibility.
Mm-hmm. Well, I admire your troubleshooting abilities. Okay, while we're waiting for this, we can begin to write the test for test output. So we have streaming system log spec. We can also open up streaming system test output spec. Okay. Oh, and this is not in the right place. Saturn API helper. That should go here. Run that test.
Yeah, I got a jump, but
Okay.
nice. It was nice to work with you, debug, and learn something which I also didn't knew before.
Yeah, likewise. Really appreciate you coming.
Then see you next time.
All right, see you later.
Bye.
All right, so I'm going to copy a chunk of this and put it in here. This is a test output streaming. And instead of system logs, we're going to be visiting test output. And here, instead of system logs, we'll have test output also. And we'll say original test output content. All right, we'll just run that to make sure there are no errors. Okay, and there is some log content here. And would you look at that? It is streaming. That is so nice to see. Something that I want to add before long is, this is kind of dumb that I have to continually scroll manually. So I want to make it so that it sticks to the bottom and you don't have to scroll. But that is a lower priority than getting the test output working, because right now there's just no test output at all. And with the system logs, you do have to annoyingly scroll, but at least the content is there. Whereas with test output, it's just not even there at all. All right, so I'm going to write just a little bit more of this test, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so we'll keep this part before log update occurs. Shows the original content. Original test output content. And I don't even know if this much is going to pass. Oh, it does. Okay. Okay. After the first log update occurs, it shows the new content. And I don't think we need to go to the same level of rigor that we did with the system log spec, because that would be redundant. Okay, new test output content. New test output content. And we, of course, want to hit the test output. Let's see. Okay. Controller system logs. Controller test output. Okay, it's called test outputs controller. So we want test outputs path. Okay, and now I definitely expect this not to pass. Yep. Okay, but did it fail in the way that I expect it to fail? No. Undefined method, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So what is my mistake? Oh, it's singular test output. All right. I had it right the first time. Okay, expected to find the text, but it didn't. All right, I think this is a good place to leave it for today. And then when we pick up next time, we can get the test output streaming working, which should be quite a bit easier than system logs since we already have the system logs working. All right, thanks guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah.